Size, speed. He's got a bit of an edge to him, and when you talk to the guys, Trent and the staff with the Wranglers, they say he's been their best player to date. So it gives us another opportunity to get another guy a little bit more energy into the lineup. So we'll see how things go there.
What was your message to Matt Coronado?
All positive. I mean, I think Matt's done an excellent job in his time here. I mean, he's played, I think it's 17 or 18 games when you factor in exhibition and the Penticton side of things, and where he came from last year. I think they're at 1 or 2. So as it gets going, there's a tendency to get a little bit harder, and we're here to work him through that. And part of that is us not wanting to have him just not necessarily sit and just watch a bunch of games. We want him to play. So whether it's 1 or 3 or 4 games he's down with the Wranglers, the message is to go down, play in all situations, and continue to work on the things we needed you to work on. But it was a positive conversation.
You strike me as a guy who would be a coach to embrace bringing in young new players and giving them a chance to break in and see what they have.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Fair. You don't know what you have until you see. So, I thought Connor, we talked about him the other day, did a very good job for us. Now the challenge is for him to do it again. You want to find some consistency in those guys, and if Connor can continue to develop that way, that's a great thing. And you look at it, he's been with the Wranglers for a couple years. He's played pro now for 2+ years, and there's a big difference. And he came up and he was in the right mindset and he was ready for his opportunity. And as I said, now it's the challenge for him to keep pushing, but it's the same thing with POSP.
Talking to Dylan Dubé, and he said, looking back, he thinks he could have used more time in the AHL. And there's obviously going to be a temptation to view this as a promotion, but is it sort of inevitable that most guys, like a guy like Matthews, going to need this time just to focus on development?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Pat asked the question yesterday about potentially sitting a guy out like that, and there's value to it. They see the game differently up top. It allows them to kind of recognize it. But what we're doing this way is putting him in a situation where he's going to touch all aspects of the game, not play 10 minutes a night. He's going to play a lot. And that's something that's important for a younger guy.
Ryan, do you have maybe not a timeline, but do you anticipate he'll be down there for a little bit, or do you think he'll work his way up?
We have no timeline right now, but this is most definitely not the last we've seen of him. I can say that for sure.
Is there a way to kind of find that right balance for you as both a coach and wanting to make sure that they develop the proper way as opposed to maybe take those setbacks and finding that right amount of constructive criticism as well as giving them that time?
That's a really good question. I think sometimes there's a tendency to put younger guys in positions that they're not quite ready for at times, and you force them into those positions, and then eventually the confidence starts to take a bit of a hit, and eventually they're not playing the same way. Then eventually it turns into what's wrong with this player, what's wrong with that player. You want to put them in positions to succeed, and that means you have to put them with the right line mates. You have to put them in right situations on the ice, and I think if you go too much too soon, that if a player's not totally ready for it, it's damaging to them. So you want to keep them going in the right direction, making them feel good about their game and where they're going and where they're headed for sure.
You mentioned this a little bit yesterday, Ryan, but just the evolution of Michael as a leader behind the scenes, that you've seen growth out of him, I imagine. Like, what have you seen out of this guy that nowadays the captain that you have seen growth-wise?
As I mentioned yesterday, I think the one big change for me is he's more vocal this year behind the scenes. I think he's done an excellent job in our room with the players, young guys, old guys, challenging people in the dressing room. And in my past years here with them, I haven't seen or heard a ton of that from him. Probably a lot of that has to do with him not having the C on his chest, but that's he's got it in him. And I think he's done an excellent job in that regard. Yeah.
At times, things felt really heavy around here last season, and even though you guys are going through a tough stretch, the guys appeared to have a lot of energy at practice today. How hard have you guys worked as coaches, or how hard have you had to work as coaches to keep spirits up and keep the guys focused on the next game and not the last 6?
Well, that's another good question. It's not easy. Everybody knows that this is a results business, and we aren't finding them yet. But by, kicking stones and walking around with your head down, it's not going to get you anywhere. So you just got to keep getting up in the morning and making sure it's your very best day with the effort and the way we want to play. You show the guys a lot of the things that they do well. It's just now we got to do it for 60 minutes. the lull in there that sometimes shows up in our game hurts us. We have to make sure that we're committed to staying with it. And then it's amazing how quick things turn. Like, I feel like it's close.
You only played one game against a Pacific Division team. Is that a good thing? Because those proverbial 4-pointers matter.
Yeah, it's more about us. I don't think the opponent at this stage of the game matters. It's about finding our game for the most part, I think, Wilsey. Yep.